In this next video, we're going to add some lights and some cameras and then get ready to render. And they are the final three stages of the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to first save the scene, which I didn't do in the last video. And we're just going to call this S4 for stage 4. And what we're going to do is turn on this light symbol here, and this means that we can see exactly what is lit almost. As I say, this is a preview window, so it's not completely accurate, but we'll get an idea of what is lit and how. We're going to go to create, and we'll go to lights, and we're going to click this bar here to pop out this lights window. And we're just going to have a quick look at some of the different lights and what they do. So if I was to click the render window here, render view, okay, I'm just going to make this smaller at this point. If I was to click render, we will see what we see. So it's using the default light from the background in there, and that's kind of what we're getting back. So if we create an ambient light, for example, and I'm just going to move this a little bit, okay, so we can kind of see where it is. We get here a little bit. So if I push that, you probably see a similar thing, because the ambient light literally just shines from every direction. Okay, it's just like saying here is some light in the scene from every point of view. It's going to be strongest for wherever you're the angle you're facing. That's kind of how it works. And by the angle we're facing, it means the camera that we're looking through at. So we're going to delete that light. If I go to directional, what's going to happen is it's going to be really tiny, so I'm going to turn the scale to 10 so we can kind of see the shape. Let me just do it to 20 actually, just to exaggerate it. There we go. Right, so you can see those kind of arrows, the 3 arrows that we've got in there. Basically what this means is whatever direction this is facing is the direction it's going to light, and it's going to do that infinitely. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, the light is always going to show from that angle. Okay. So if we go into the attribute editor here, we can change that light, for example, to pink. Okay, and let's say we're going to rotate that around to come from the back. Okay, and let's say we just want to get another light. In fact, I'm just going to duplicate that one, and I'm going to bring it around. I'm going to rotate it the other way, like that. And let's say we change the colour of that to something like white. Okay, we can then start to get some kind of atmosphere and scene kind of going in, and they're still pretty strong, and we're still losing, despite the light shining, we're still not getting much reflection back from the cage. It's not very visible, and this is the problem when you have black on black. So it's a little bit more visible now, that light, though, if you can kind of see. So we're starting to get it to appear. Okay, so that's kind of like your directional lights. The next one is we won't use a point light, we'll look at spotlight. So if you've got like an indoor stage, this is perfect. So I'm going to go back to the channel box. I'm just going to turn the scale up to 20. Okay, and if I turn that around, you start to see that spotlight appearing. Okay, if you imagine it like a start of a stage. And obviously if we move it further away from the object, that spot's going to become bigger. Okay, so you could have like a kind of like a stage entrance, and if we render that out in the render view to get a preview, you'll basically see the same thing. Okay, you see the spotlight on the object. You can fade that spotlight. So at the moment the transition's up a really hard edge. If we go into the attribute editor, we can turn on decay, and let's just have a look at how that looks now. Probably won't see it. No, probably because maybe if you turn the drop off up, let's just turn the decay off and turn drop off. It might be drop off. It's been a while since I've done it. So there we go. So it's softer now, as you can see. Okay. So if we actually turn up the cone angle, just turn down the drop off a little bit. Maybe take the spotlight back. And we have a look again. There we go. It's a lot softer now. Okay. We're getting a bit more atmosphere kind of showing within it. So the other type of light we have is an area light. This is kind of good for like if you're doing interiors and you've got light coming through a window. You would normally have one of these in place of the window shining in, facing the way that the line on the object is going. So as you can see here, you've got this line. So if you've got a window frame, this this goes in it, and this line faces inwards. Okay, because that's the direction your supposed light is going to come in through the window. And you see how on the side of this object here, you've got that light showing. That's supposedly going to show that light bouncing from the window in. Okay, and kind of give us that kind of natural effect of light bouncing inwards. Not sure how it's going to look on this render. Not too amazing. So there you go. Yeah, you kind of get the idea of it. It's really bright and intense, as you'd expect from daylight coming in. So that direction and spot are going to be really useful. And then we have a volume light. So a volume light essentially will light everything that is within the volume of it, so it should be fairly self-explanatory. But let's just make this make it to 50. I'll probably go actually more than 150. So I'm going to put in those on the scale. Okay, like so. Okay. So on here it looks really visible, but I think when we render it doesn't show as much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick render to see what it looks like. Okay, yeah, cool. As I said, on here it looks really huge, but actually what we see is less. So to really bring this out, two things I'm going to do to fit in with the theme of what we're doing. I'm going to attach the light to the middle of this joint. So I'm going to hold V, and I'm just going to try and bring it in. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to try and place it then myself manually, as close to that joint in the middle as I can. Okay, I think we're almost there. Perfect. Okay, and then with the volume light, I'm just going to call this lamp light. You've got a lot of lights in the scene, that's going to help. And we're just going to attach this to joint 2, okay, which is chain 2. In fact, at the end of these joints, I would normally have put a little JT at the end, okay, to say joint. Okay, so with that on there, what that now means is if we play that back, we will see the light move. Now we don't really see it in this preview, but we will see it in the final render. So what I'm going to do really quickly as well is select the lamp light again, and I'm just going to change the colour of it to like an orangey, a yellow/orange, because that is the colour of kind of like your kind of flame that you might get in this kind of old kind of street lamp. So I'm going to go for an orange. Okay. So what we're going to do now is add in a camera that's going to basically pan up onto the object. So with a camera, you basically have several choices. You have a camera, which is just like the perspective view where we move around and kind of look. We have camera and aim and up. Stereo camera, and I'm with stereo rig, which is like your kind of like your VR kind of stuff, like your 3D effects in films that you get from those. So we're going to go camera and aim. And again, they're going to be super tiny because the scale of this. So I'm just going to turn those up to 10. And I think I'm going to go a bit higher, I'm going to go to 20. Just to make it really clear. And then what I'm going to do is select the camera. I'm just going to rename this as lamp scene cam 1. and I'm just going to call this lamp scene cam 1 point. Okay. So camera 1, the first thing I'm going to do is set the end position. Where do I want the end position to be? So at frame 120, I'm just going to pull this up. Okay. And if we go to see what is happening in camera 1, we're going to go to perspective and go to that camera we just created. It should appear in there. We can now see what it's going to look like. If we click this icon here, we can actually see what the frame is. Okay, so this is what's going to render everything in this visible zone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to a split view like this. Okay, and on one side I'm going to go to the perspective, and on this side I'm going to have the lamp scene. And what I'm going to do is move this camera to where I want that end scene to be. Now we haven't lost our textures, it's just in these new views we don't have our perspective view in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to end it kind of like there. Okay, and we want this point here just to be in just a little bit more. Okay, as we want that lamp to be the focus or something like there. Okay, so with this like this, I'm going to push camera here. I'm going to push S, which will record the position. You won't be able to rotate because that's locked to that point there. But then the start point we're going to have is just kind of down here. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm also going to animate that point. So I'm going to go into the camera group here and click that and push S because I want it to be set there at that point. I actually want it to be focused on it around 2 seconds in as well. So before that I'm actually just going to move it down slightly. Okay, so now if I play that back, you'll see that the camera is now moving in to that point. Okay, and we get a kind of nice focus on that object. So once we have that set, we are ready to render. So I'm now just going to change this back to here. So for the project, we're going to basically use the Maya software, I think, and we'll kind of see how it goes. And so we're just going to set this up. So we need to make sure we're rendering using Maya software. We're then going to basically output the images to, we'll just do some JPEGs just to keep the file size nice and low. So we're going to click JPEG. I'm going to change this lamp scene shot 1 underscore, or we'll just leave it there actually. And we're going to change the frame, the naming file. So this had a file name, so name is effectively what's there. The underscore and the hash mean what frame number it's going to be. So all these along the timeline. And then we're going to go to extension, which is going to be JPEG. We have 3 digits in terms of what we're going to render, so we need frame padding to be on 3. As you can see up here, that changes. So if I add in like 6, see how much more it adds. So we only need to add in 3 because we're going up to 150. We're then going to get to set the start frame as 1 and the last frame as 150. We're then going to set the camera as lamp scene, and we're going to change it to HD. So we'll just do HD 1080. Okay. So then we just need to change where it's going to save to. So we just go to Edit, Change Project Image Directory, and in Images, we're just going to go into Images, create a new folder, and just go Render, put it Rendered for Images, and click Select. We'll open it up and we'll just go Shot 1. So obviously if you're working on a big scene, you can do multiple shots. Click Shot 1, and you can have them in different folders. Click Accept. We're then going to go down from this drop menu here to Rendering, and we're going to go Render, and we're going to go to batch render. Okay, and now that is going to start, and you'll see it appear down here. Now, one of two things might happen. You may find that you see all the shots individually render in this bar, or you may see it doing this for ages, and then suddenly they all appear. I think there's, with the college network in particular, there may be some barriers there. But just so you know, it should happen. You may need to give it time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it, and when they start coming in, or this updates, I will unpause it so that you can see it. Okay, so now you can see that this is rendering, and you can see in here that those images are now appearing. So if I just quickly go to this icon here, you'll be able to see that it is appearing, but it's very faint. So let's just open one up and have a look. Might take a moment with all the things going on. And as you can see, it's there, but it's very dark. So we'll probably need to add more lights into the scene to get that, finished. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it as it is. Once it's rendered, I'm going to pause the recording so that you can see me import it and then see the video playing back. Okay, so the scene is finished, and I've loaded up Premiere Pro, not After Effects, ready. And what we're going to do is basically now turn this into an MP4. Most of you should know how to do this, but we'll just go again anyway, just in case it's been forgotten and you got a bit rusty over the break. So we're going to new project, and we're just going to call this lamppost. We're just going to set it into the same folder path as our Maya file, because we're going to keep all that stuff together. So I'm going to go in here, and we're going to go to scenes. We'll go into movies, and we'll save it in there. Click OK. And this should load up a bit quicker than this, hopefully. We'll give it a moment. I think because of the video card filming this currently and using Maya to add shaders and lights, and then trying to process this, I think I'll try and avoid rendering a preview, and we'll just export straight from it and look at the final footage. So I'm just going to pause while it's loading, and then when it's ready I'll come back. Okay, so we are now back. So what we're going to do is just go to File, New, Sequence, and we're just going to go down to HD. Is it going to be in DV? No, HDV. And we're just going to go to 1080 and 30 frames per second. And we're then going to right click and go to Import. And we're just going to find our folders. And I'm going to go to where we rendered our images out, which was in Images, Rendered Images, Shot 1. We're going to click the first image, which will be 001, and then click Image Sequence, and click Open. And that's going to treat that as a video file. I'm going to drag that in onto the timeline. Let's try again. There we go. And okay, change sequence settings. Just fit whatever has gone in. And I'm going to try playing it actually. See what happens. There you go. You can kind of see it moving as it's swinging as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just go to File, Export Media. So obviously you can collate all your shots together, all the different bits from your scenes. And what we're going to do is then just go to make sure it's MP4, H.264, high bitrate, use maximum render quality, just change where you're saving it to. We just want to make sure it's in the right spot. Put it into movies, and we'll just call this lamppost render 1. and then we'll click export, and it will go through the rendering process. When it's done, I'll come back and play it. It did it in like 2 seconds. So let's just go back, and then we'll go to our video folder, and here's the video. I think I'm going to add some more lights and play about with this a little bit more, and we'll then show that to you. Yeah, so it hasn't come out too well with the light, but that's part of the process of experimentation. So what we'll do is I'm going to add some more lights in, and in lesson I'm going to show you a different version. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's so we've covered lighting, cameras,